Hello everyone. Welcome to the second edition of Indian Stents Get Updated. I'm Viveka Roy Chaudhary from Express Healthcare. Clinical cardiologists and interventional cardiologists across the world are faced with new technologies and new techniques each day that they get into their clinics. But can they really trust these new techniques and technologies? Are they really backed by sound clinical evidence? Are they really backed by trials? Are they part of these trials as investigators? And can they really balance practice and clinical trials and also train the next generation of interventional cardiologists? To know more about this and to meet one such clinician who manages to balance these two, I have with me today Dr. Vijay Karthikeyan from the UK. So Dr. Karthik, thank you for speaking to Express Healthcare and for being on the second edition of Indian Stents Get Updated. You were there last year. Thank you for coming and agreeing to being with us this year as well. You're practicing in the UK and I believe you said that you have your patient pool is very diverse, people of different nationalities, ethnic backgrounds. So what is the difference that you see in terms of when do patients come to you with cardiac ailments? Is there a difference between patients from, say, the Asian genetic pool, from the UK genetic pool? And what does that mean to you really as an interventional cardiologist?
This is a very interesting question you asked. Yes, we see patients from the Caucasian race, we see Asians, we see African patients. Now, in terms of the clinical presentations, I think a general trend we get to see is that patients present earlier than, for example, in the eastern countries in India and Southeast Asia, when they're not feeling well or if they're unwell. And so when they present earlier, we can take care and deal with things more or less promptly, number one. Number two, I don't think any race is protected from cardiovascular disease. We see it in every race, so to say. The important thing is things like risk factors like diabetes mellitus, of course, is significantly more in the Asian population, especially Indians, and it's increasing as well, which is a big worry, number one. Number two, in terms of the size of coronary arteries, for example, because this is what I do intervention, the Asian coronary arteries are relatively of smaller caliber than the Caucasian coronary arteries. In terms of going back to risk factors, lipid profiles, as a typical Asian lipid profile, we tend to have low high density lipoproteins or HDL cholesterol, and we tend to have high triglyceride levels, and that's probably to do with high carbohydrate intake. But then we eat carbohydrates in the form of rice and wheat, but Westerners eat carbohydrates more in the way of potatoes, for example. So there is a sort of a wide variation. But having said that, I don't think there is any other huge difference in the way we manage these patients. But again, in terms of cardiac surgery, for example, when cardiac surgeons have to operate on patients who need a triple bypass, I think the Asian arteries are a lot more smaller than Caucasian counterparts. But I think the Indian cardiac surgeons are brilliant and they deliver excellent results in our patients here in India and around.
Okay. Doctor, you've been a principal investigator on many cardiology trials. You've also had multiple publications in cardiovascular science. So you're fairly well integrated into the research part of your clinical specialization. How does this help you in clinical practice? And can you tell us about some of the new trials that you're part of?
So cardiovascular medicine is one of the specialties in the whole of medicine that has probably the widest evidence base, and this is supported mainly because of clinical trials. Clinical trials in the form of well-designed randomized trials comparing one kind of treatment to another, and also looking at registry data where patients have been given treatments and then we go back and revisit the outcomes of those particular treatments or interventions, which is relevant to my practice. Now, most of our procedures are invasive. We have to get catheters, wires, balloons, stents, for example, up patients' vessel arteries and implant them in the heart artery. So it's important that we do the right thing, and it's extremely important that we use the right kind of equipment that has proven to be safe, effective, and does not do harm to the patients. So as a doctor, our first and primary responsibility is not doing any harm to the patients. And on that basis, any new technology, any new device has to be well tested, and it has to pass the rigors of not only the first, second, third line kind of studies, but also they need to be compared with contemporary technologies that are available and should be proven to be superior, and if not superior, at least not inferior or equal rather to current technologies, and that's extremely important. On that basis, some of the technologies we are trying now, especially with the modern stents, with the so-called ultra-thin thick measurements like 60 microns, which is made by one of our Indian companies, have been shown to be non-inferior to contemporary third-generation stents that have been used for more than a decade now and made abroad. So on that basis, I think it's extremely important we test and prove that any new technology is worth its while, so to say.
Okay. And how are you making sure, how do practitioners make sure that when they refer to a study trial, the study trial mimics the real life conditions in clinical practice? For instance, the trial that you mentioned, that's an all-comers trial and it's a randomized clinical trial.
Mm-hmm.
So do you take that as the gold standard for, say, a clinical trial which will give you a lot of confidence?
All-comers trial are extremely useful because by definition, all-comers should be able to recruit every patient that walks through the door of the hospital and gets a particular treatment, irrespective of what the patient's age, gender, race, comorbidities or risk factors include. And also this is, because in a real life, we cannot exclude certain patients from treatments unless if they choose not to have a treatment or if it's not in their benefit and it is a higher risk than benefit. So essentially, clinical trials should try and include as many patients as possible and across all age groups, across all races, across patients who have diabetes, high blood pressure, who smoke, who are obese. So we have to really consider a real world general population for all our clinical trials. It's easier said than done, and again, no one size fits all, but we need to keep trying and make our effort to ensure that we include every possible patient who could potentially benefit from a particular treatment or therapy.
Specifically speaking about the talent trial on the stent, which was just completed 2 years, and last year we released the 2-year data of that. So how does the data look to you? Do you think that a stent out of India today is gaining confidence among practicing interventional cardiologists across the world?
Absolutely. And this particular trial was performed, from what I remember, in over 15 countries. And so this would have obviously involved a big geographical area and also across, again, different types of populations. I am also aware that this stent is available in most of the countries in the Southern Americas, in Europe, we have it in England, and obviously it's used in the Asian countries as well. Yes, so it will fulfill and all the tick boxes that are required for a new technology to be used in general population.
Since we are at the start of a new decade, what does this decade look like to you in terms of new techniques and new technologies that are coming into interventional cardiology?
Interventional cardiology has come a long way from just balloon angioplasties over 2 decades ago to bare metal stents that were crimped on a balloon and used in patients. And this improved to drug-eluting stents. And initial clinical trials were performed comparing balloons and stents and then bare metal stents with drug-eluted stents. And currently, all our studies are based on comparing contemporary stents, essentially. We also had a brief run with bioabsorbable scaffolds where we were trying to do away with the metal component of the stents, but there's still work ongoing for that, and hopefully we will be able to get a product that will suit patients. So that's one thing. The next thing is just like mobile phones. We had massive, huge mobile phones 20 years ago, and then their sizes became small and very slim and sleek. So stent strut size thicknesses were a lot more in the past, and now with the so-called ultra-thin struts of about 60 microns, I think this is the future in terms of trying to minimize the amount of metal in a patient's artery. Mind you, these are all, we are talking about millimeter diameters. So it's extremely important that we try and keep the scaffolds of the stents as thin as possible to get the best gain in the volume or the diameter of the arteries and reduce the risk of new narrowings in the arteries and stents and prevent further cardiovascular events.
As new techniques and technologies are coming into clinical practice, you've talked about some of these. How is your generation of cardiologists passing on this kind of insights and experience onto the next generation? You've also been supporting the training of junior doctors. So can you tell us a little bit about your efforts on that front?
The key thing to tell junior doctors and trainees is obviously to do what's best for the patient, and by discussing the strategies of the patient and making sure the patient is involved in his or her care rather than have a paternalistic attitude and approach to patient care. It's the patient's own bodies, and they have a right to choose what treatment they want and when they want it, full stop. Now, in the UK, for example, even in the country like the United Kingdom, where the National Health Service provides most of the healthcare, and we also have very standardized protocols and guidelines. We have the National Institute of Clinical Excellence, we have the European Society of Cardiology guidelines, the American cardiac guidelines. Despite this, there is what we call clinical variation, and I spoke about this even in the interview last year. So there's a slight variation between how each clinician practices his specialty or subject. That kind of variation, I think, is significantly more in a country like India, because we don't have specific localized guidelines from what I am aware. Obviously, they were being evolved the last time I heard. Secondly, the patients have to pay for their health care, and a lot of the treatment and care they receive is somewhat dependent on how much they can afford in many instances. Now, taking the patients into confidence is extremely important. Explaining things very clearly to the patient in a language that they will understand, and also giving them the choice to choose what treatment they wish to have is very important. We are, I think, in an unfortunate era where confidence with the medical profession is sort of waning with patients, and as you will already know, there's a lot of so-called second and third opinion fashion going on in India, and they don't trust a particular clinician, and they always try and ask a second or third opinion. So if the doctors get together and try and sort of standardize their practice, so that if, for example, me as a patient had to go to a particular doctor, then I can go to that doctor with confidence and say that that's the treatment that I would get with any other doctor as well, and that's the way we should be working towards in the future. So to the junior doctors, it's not just learning technologies and learning techniques of performing complex interventions, but being empathic with the patients, speaking to the patients, taking them into confidence is extremely important, because patient comes first always.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Karthikeyan, for sharing your insights with us. It was lovely having you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Karthikeyan from the UK talking to us about the importance of randomized clinical trials for interventional cardiologists, as also the need to train the next generation of cardiologists to take the patient into confidence. Thank you for watching India Stents Get Updated. Keep watching our website Express Healthcare for future updates on this channel. Thank you.